Hey guys, so on the podcast, you got Liam Santamaria. Liam is an NBL expert analyst and journalist. He's been working with the NBL for a few years now and also used to be an NBL player. I hope you guys enjoy this podcast with Liam as we talk about the upcoming NBL Grand Final between the Sydney Kings and the Tasmanian JackJumpers. I hope you guys enjoy this preview episode with Liam, and I'll see you in the next one. Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime. What do you think about this upcoming NBL Grand Final, and what do you see the outcome coming out as?
I'm very excited for it. It's a bit of a David and Goliath type matchup. The Sydney Kings are a massive brand and a huge organization, and the Tasmania JackJumpers, of course, Max, brand new organization. Just a Cinderella story, making it all the way to the grand final. So there's some real kind of romance around that kind of story, and whether the JackJumpers can really make a fist of it and maybe even go all the way. I don't think they will, though. The Kings are loaded with talent, and
definitely.
I think over the course of the 5-game series, their talent will probably end up overwhelming the Jackies, unfortunately.
Yeah, I want the JackJumpers to win. It would be such a great story. It would be so good.
Could you imagine how wild they will go down in Tasmania if they manage to win?
Especially without Will Magnay, far out. It'd be
amazing.
Good. Yeah, it'd be really good.
They've been incredible.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it? What do you see some of the strengths of the Kings and the JackJumpers?
Well, the Kings, both of them are very good defensive teams. Both of them are top 3. Melbourne United, the best defensive team all season, but Tasmania and Sydney right there next to them in that top 3. But at the offensive end, they're very different, contrasting styles. So the Kings, with their talent and their athleticism and their speed, they love to push the ball and play really quick. They like to score in the first 8 seconds of the shot clock. And then in the half court, they mostly kind of give the ball to Jalen Adams and sort of let him do his thing. Yeah. Whereas the JackJumpers, they're a much slower team. So they are last over the course of the regular season. They were second last in pace. So only the New Zealand Breakers played slower than the JackJumpers. And they like to walk the ball up the court, move the ball through hands, run their stuff, and then try to sort of take the speed out of the game. So that for me is the most fascinating part of this series, Max, is who manages to get the game on their terms. Do the Kings manage to turn it into an up and down affair, or do the JackJumpers pull them down into the mud and keep it to a slow, grinded out game? They're the strengths and the weaknesses, but who gets on top, it will be the big battle.
Yeah, definitely. It's two basically complete opposite teams playing against each other, and it'll be great to see who wins. But who do you reckon the most important players are for each team?
Well, Jalen Adams, for sure, is the key to the Kings, right? MVP of the league.
MVP, you can't get much better, can you?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. A lot of people will talk about Xavier Cooks as their most kind of important player because he does just a little bit of everything. And, he just has an incredible motor and does so much for that team. But really, if you took Jalen Adams out of that group, it makes them a whole different sort of beast. And he's so big in big moments too. He has huge courage and makes big plays.
Definitely.
And I think the JackJumpers, when they are doing their planning and their scouting for this series, a lot of it will revolve around how are we going to defend Jalen Adams and how are we going to kind of minimize his impact? And then Josh Adams is the highest scorer for the JackJumpers, and he's made some huge plays and was massive the other night in game 3.
I saw that jump shot from corner. Oh my God. How do you make that? That's far out.
It was a crazy, crazy shot.
Yeah.
But for me, Josh Majette, their point guard, is their most important player. Now, maybe I was a point guard, Max, so maybe it's a bit of bias from me about that position, choosing 2 point guards. But we talked about the way in which the Jack Jumpers kind of control the tempo, and Josh Majette is the key to that.
Yeah,
He's their
definitely.
point guard. He's the guy that kind of works out what they're going to do offensively. So I think Jalen Adams and Josh Majette, the two import point guards, are the keys to the series.
Yeah, nice. And what do you make of these two during the regular season when they were playing against each other? I think the Kings had a 2-1 record against them. So do you reckon that will mean anything coming into this series?
Well, it's a great question, actually, because there's a couple of those games that I don't think you can take a lot from.
Mm-hmm.
So the first game in Sydney, early in the season, Tassie played Sydney pretty tough. They went down. Jalen Adams didn't play that game.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether you can kind of take much from that. And in the second game, in round 10, when Tassie beat Sydney in Hobart, that was kind of exactly how they want to play the Kings. It was a 70-something to 70-something result. It was perfect for Tasmania. But Will Magnay was still on the team at that time. And he had a massive game. Like, he had 4 blocks, almost a double-double, 6 combined blocks and steals. He was a huge factor. So they're going to need to do it without him. And then the one time that they've played the Kings with Jalen Adams playing and without Will Magnay, Sydney just completely blew them off the floor. They beat them by like 30 points. They scored 103, and it was a total domination. So I think the Jack Jumpers for sure will be looking at those last 2 games and saying, well, there's one example of exactly what we don't want to happen. Yeah. And here's the example, even though Will was still with us, here's the example of how we want to play against the Kings.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the Jack Jumpers have done amazing just to get into the grand final without Will Magnay. Like Will is such a great player. He's been in the NBA. He's just done so, it's just going to be a great series to see how they go.
Yeah. And I think it's a good point you make, Max, because I think the challenge for the Jack Jumpers will be to try to not think like that. Because if they think, oh, well, we're just happy to be here, we've done a good job even just to get here,
they're just going to lose 3-0.
Things could go pear-shaped for them. So if they maintain their kind of competitive edge, they could make things tough.
Yeah, definitely. What did you make of the semi-finals and how they played during the semis? Both teams.
Well, both were really impressive, of course. Sydney, I thought that Illawarra series would go to 3.
Yeah.
It's funny how we thought one game would be like really super competitive and go to 3, and the other one probably would be a sweep, and it just completely didn't work out in any way like we thought. But Sydney and Illawarra, they just showed their championship credentials in key stretches of both of those games.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, they had one quarter in Wollongong that was outstanding, 30-9 against the Hawks. And then they had all the answers down the stretch in
definitely.
Sydney. And it was Jalen Adams again in crunch time. What a massive shot he hit with 1 minute to go. They were up 2. Maybe the Hawks were about to, steal the game, and he just went, nah, that's not happening. We're going to the grand final.
Yeah.
So that was super impressive. And then the Jack Jumpers, 1-0 down.
Still fairy tale stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. They kind of got, ended up being a 10-point or so margin, 12-point margin, I think, in the end, that game won, but they were getting smashed.
Yeah, definitely.
So to come back from that and win the next 2 games was unbelievable. And that their defense, again, was the key. The thing for the Jack Jumpers, they're so good defensively, but the big question is, can you make big shots in big moments? Jack McVeigh and Josh Majette down in Hobart in game 2, massive shots that got them over the line. And then that Josh Adams one that you speak about in the corner. So
that's trending in the US as well, far out, honestly.
Is it?
So I just can't get over that.
Is it? Have you seen it going viral?
Apparently, yeah.
Very nice.
It's been going good. Before the season, I was listening to one of your podcasts with Max Beaver, and you said the Jack Jumpers would get lucky to win a game or 2. So what do you think have led to their success?
Well, yeah, my sort of statement about the JackJumpers coming into the season was their challenge was to not finish last.
Yeah.
Which I've got egg all over my face.
I think they've done the opposite of that one.
Yeah, I mean, they've made that look ridiculous. And then I also wrote them off midway through the season when Will Magday went down.
Yeah.
Oh, and I thought, you guys have been terrific, but all of your success has been built around what you do defensively. Magnay's your rim protector. You're going to find it tough from here. And incredibly, they got even better from that point on. So, and then I thought Melbourne would beat them in the semi-finals. So maybe the thing that's led to their success is me constantly writing them off. I'm not sure, but I think the key thing that's been the driving force for them has been Scott Roth.
Yeah.
And what a great hire he was as head coach, put in place a great culture. He's got those guys completely buying into everything that he wants them to do. And they're playing hard, tough, committed at the defensive end, and they're playing together and with great courage offensively. So I think he's been the key to their success, the coach of the year, Scott Roth.
Yeah, I've seen the videos on a few videos the JackJumpers have put out. See, far out. I don't know how the JackJumpers are doing it, to be honest. It's an absolute fairy tale, Cinderella, as you said before.
It's very cool.
Yeah. What do you make of this grand final? And let's just go. What's your prediction?
All right. I think the Kings will win.
Yeah.
So for me, it's now a matter of, well, how many games, if any, can the JackJumpers get? And I think that they'll win at least one. Now, my head tells me 3-1 to the Kings. Sydney win it in 4, with Tassie winning that game 2 on their home floor in front of that raucous home crowd.
Yeah.
But my heart says I would love to see the JackJumpers win both of their home games, reward those fans, and then the whole thing go to a game 5. Yeah. And then, geez, wouldn't that be unbelievable? But I think in the end, the Kings win. And I'm going to go with what I hope, and that is that it's a 5-game series.
Yeah.
What about you?
I really want the JackJumpers to win, but I don't know if they will because the Kings are just so good at the moment. I hope JackJumpers in 5, but I'm probably going to be Kings in 4 or something.
Okay. All right. So you've got a little bit either way.
Yeah. I can't pick. I really want to see the JackJumpers win though, because it'll be a great story.
Yeah, I think what you say kind of reflects what a lot of people think, which is like my head says the Kings and my heart says the Jackies.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thanks for listening to the podcast. I hope you guys really enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.